Hey there, welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. I've got some fun crafts for you today. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Today we'll be working on some Rustic Farmhouse Christmas tree decor. It's still Christmas in July, so let's get started with project number 1. For this project, I'm using this piece of wood from Dollar Tree, one of their thick slats. I think it's the 12-inch chunky slat. These two pieces of wood came from Walmart. They're hanging, they're already painted and everything. They're like $2.70 a board. All right, and then I will have a free printable pattern for you. The link to my blog will be in the description box where you can find this pattern. Now, this is a little bit of a wonky tree or a whimsical tree. You can call it a whimsy wonky tree. 3 separate pieces. Of course, you could cut it all out in one piece if you have a board wide enough, but I want to do it in 3 pieces because like I said, am going to use these boards from Walmart. I already had them and they fit perfectly wonderful. All right, then we're going to take these boards outside. We're going to use my little VEVOR mini table saw today. This saw is going to get quite a workout today, but it cuts through everything nicely, even all the different kinds of boards and everything that I'll be using on the projects today. I'll have a link down below for it in case you're interested. I love how lightweight it is. I have like a little cabinet in the kitchen, like in our pantry, and I just put it in there, and then when I need it, I pull it out and I clamp it to the side of the table. You need to clamp it to wherever you're working on it so it doesn't move around on you because it is that powerful. And I just cut my stuff out. It makes it so much easier than going, oh, honey. I love it. Once these are done, we're going to go ahead and sand and distress our boards. Now, I'm not going to mess with this. The paint on it's already done. It's already distressed. I'm just going to distress it a little bit more. I'm going to kind of round out the sharp edges and stuff. But the paint on it was what I was going to do anyway. I would have taken my Waverly Antique Wax. I would have stained it first, let it dry, would have painted it with a white paint, came out, distressed it. I don't have to do that. That makes this project easier. Here, everything is done. The back, you saw like a middle streak down here on the back side. I sanded that paint off there a little bit so that we could wood glue it to our little Dollar Tree thing here. And I went ahead on the Dollar Tree board and I kind of rounded out those side edges as well. And then I'm going to use just a piece of salvage wood for the base. It's such lightweight wood, it's going to hold up fine. Now I'm going to use my Gorilla wood glue to work with that. You could use Dollar Tree wood glue if you want. And then my husband's going to add a couple of screws in the bottom. I just let him do it. I don't have to worry about it. That will go up into that Dollar Tree slat and hold it really well. He'll just do that off camera. I'll show you what it looks like. So coming in, going to go ahead and start adding our pieces on here. And you can see, I know it looks funny because that top is really tipped, but that's okay. It looks really cool when we're done. And then wait till we go to decorate it. It looks even cooler. All 3 tree designs today, oh, I love them all. I don't know which one is my favorite, probably the last one. You'll have to let me know and I'll remind you at the end. Tell me which one your favorite is. All right, getting this on there. I'm also adding some glue to the top edge of the board where it's going to connect to the board up above it. Right? We want it all to be connected. And I'm going to come in and just add a few clamps here, but I will clamp the rest off camera and let that sit for a good half an hour. And then my husband will come in and put the screws on it for me, and then we will be ready to decorate. This is so easy because we don't have to paint or anything. Here's what it looks like with 2 screws in the bottom of the base up into that piece of wood. It stands perfectly fine. So now I just have some, I was going to say greenery first. As you can see, greenery, some bells. This is some ribbon from Hobby Lobby. And this is like a little mini ornament. Walmart every year at Christmas gets their little mini ornament. So that's, of course, that came from. And then just a little pine cone. And I don't want to add too much on all of the trees today. I don't add a lot. I just add a tiny because I want the trees to be the focus, I guess, but I can't stand to just let them go naked. But if you want to let it go naked, this tree's done, and then you can put it in among neutral decor and it would look really good. I did go back and forth on trying to decide, but you know, there it is. This is what I ended up with. Couple pieces of greenery, added the bow on there, glued it in using my Beacon Fabri-Tac glue there, added in the little bells. The bell came from like a little garland of bells I bought at Joann's last year, I believe. And then, of course, glued in the little mini ornament. And then I'm going to glue the little pine cone right in front of that. That makes this project complete. We'll take a look at the final results at the end of the video. Let's move on to our quick and easy project number 2. So I found this cutting board it was $4, But I think it's actually, it says cedar1.com. It's got the logo on it. I think it's actually for like cooking fish and stuff on your grill, but I loved it. And I was going to cut it into just one big triangle, but I really liked the words on there. So I am going to take this and kind of cut it from one, because see, if I do that, you don't see the words. I was just going to do one big triangle, but I'm going to take it and cut it from one long edge to the other long edge, and then connect it in the middle to make the big triangle. And then I'm using my VEVOR mini table saw again. Remember, I told you I was going to get a workout today. And it is a little bit thicker board, so I just go nice and slow with it, and it cuts it fine because it's a little bit denser as well. And when you have kind of denser, thicker board using this table saw, just go nice and slow with it, and it should cut it wonderfully. I'm not going to paint this board. I'm not going to do anything with it. I will sand it a little bit to kind of get a little bit more of a distressed look on it, but I love the color that it already is. I love the logo that's already, burned into it just like it is. So quick and easy and fun. Here I am just sanding it, rounding out those straight edges. I hate those straight edges where they're like, real like hard looking. I like to just round them out and kind of, round them out, round them off. So, and then I'm coming in and just sanding a little bit more on the top, give it a little bit more of a distressed look. And I was a little bit worried at first, kind of putting two triangles together with the seam down the middle, but it looks fine and I am great with it. And if you didn't have a cutting board, of course, that had anything on it, just two pieces of wood like this would look fine. And of course you could paint it and, distress it, sand it, paint it, whatever, stain it just like we did the last project, and you're going to be happy with it. So once that's done, I'm going to come in and use my wood glue and glue it together, of course. I didn't even show you what I was using for the base, did I? It's just like we used on the last tree, one of those 12-inch slat boards from Dollar Tree. And I kind of drew a line down the center so I would know how to glue easily. And I picked a board that had like pitch and knot holes on it because I thought it looked really cool with this, board the way we're using the cutting board. And then of course I'm going to clamp it down and let it wait for like half an hour and let it set. This is what it looks like, the knot at the bottom. I think it gives it a nice rustic look, and I'm going to add it to a large size wood slice. It's about 8-inch in diameter. I was just going to add like a small piece of wood like the last tree we did, but my husband's like, it's not going to hold it because that cutting board wood is really heavy. So he put it onto the bottom of this base just like we did the other one, couple of screws. As you can see, it's toward the back a little bit more, which is going to help it to set a little bit more level with the heaviness of the cutting board I use. Plus it gives me room to add, rusty bell, pine cones, some greenery, and some ribbon again. Basically the same kind of decorations through all of the projects today. And I chose specifically some greenery that wasn't real glittery or snowy because I tend to go toward glittery and snowy. It was kind of hard to find greenery that didn't have stuff on it, but I did find some. It looks great. Glued those on, of course, and now I'm gluing my bow in the center. I've got long tails on it right now because you know what we're going to do, wrinkle and crinkle it a little bit later. All right, going to add in the rusty bell, and then we're going to add in the pine cone here. I thought the rusty bell and a pine cone would lend to kind of like the rustic of the project. Bella's going to, lay down next to us and help out. Added in a couple of pip berries, beaded pip berries from Hobby Lobby, and one more small pine cone. And then we'll come in and wrinkle and crinkle our ribbons. I'm trying to wrinkle and crinkle it to see the crack in that wood slice because I want to be able to see that just a little bit. I chose this wood slice specifically for that. I'm going to cut my tails a little bit shorter. That makes this project complete. We'll take a look at the results at the end of the video. Let's move on to our last project, number 3. Now this project might not be for everybody, but hopefully you get some inspiration from it. I went out into my, scrap wood box and I got some pieces here. A lot of these all came from Habitat for Humanity because, they'll have a big area where you can get scrap pieces of wood and stuff. And so I chose wood with the coloring and salvage wood with the knot holes in it. And this board, I got it a couple years ago, forgot I had it. I think it came from some maybe like wine rack that was taken apart, but I loved it for the slots in it. And I thought it would look great for the bottom of the tree, almost making it look like a tree skirt. And I'll use that wood again, cutting off a little piece for at the top here. And we're going to, of course, make it into a tree shape. You can see my boards are already marked, so I'm cutting the little spot for the very tip top of the tree where the star is going to go. I started out my this board, which is my bottom board, was 14.5 inches long. And then each board above that, I shortened by 3 inches. So this one was 14.5 inches long. My next board, which is this one here, will be 11.5 inches long. Then my next board will be 8.5 inches long, which is this one. And the one I cut before that was 5.5 inches long. And of course, our little square piece at the top. Now I am just distressing everything. I loved the colors and stuff in it because I loved that they kind of had a little bit of a reddish tone to it. Gives it a little bit more of that rustic look for me. And again, probably not a lot of you are going to like this design. I showed my husband, I was all like, oh, I love this tree. And he's like, okay, as long as you like it. But sometimes I just love to go rustic with a little bit of hardware and just have some fun with it. So sanding everything like I want it. I don't want to paint it or anything like that. We will add some scrapbook paper to it, which is going to be kind of fun. So here everything is arranged. So I'm going to put them in the order that I want them to go. So again, we started from 14.5 inches up to, 11.5, 8.5, 5.5, up to that square top. And for the star, this is a wood star from craftingwithkimber.com. I will have a link down below where you can get that. And then my husband had some trim board here, and I cut it for the back of the tree. It's 19 inches tall. I probably would have maybe went down to about 18 inches, but what's another inch? And again, I'm using this scrapbook paper like we used in our last video from Paper Studio from Hobby Lobby. It's $12.99 normally, got it 40% off. I don't want the paper to just sit on top of the wood. You could do that, but I want the paper to look kind of melted into the wood to give it a rustic look. So my 2 pieces are already cut for those boards, and I'm going to use this paper to cut my star out, okay? And of course I'm cutting it backwards because then when we go to put our paper on the board with the method we're using, we actually flip it over. So be leery of that. If you have paper that has a lot of writing and stuff, it will be backwards, okay? I'm going to use polyacrylic in matte shade for this. You could use Mod Podge. It works well. I just like the polyacrylic because it does dry a little faster. If you just let it set for about an hour, it's dry and ready to go. And I put a nice thick kind of coat on there. As you can see here on the star, lay the paper over the top, design down, and then push it against it really well. So here I'm coming on to the next wood. Again, you can kind of see how thick it is. Just a nice thick layer. I don't think you can get too thick with this. Turn my paper over, of course, when it's ready. Lay it down so print side is toward the board. And then I'm going to get my little roller here and rub it. It had polyacrylic stuck to it. And I'm going to, roll it on there really well. I did the same thing on the star. And then the last board is going to cover all the way across. And I'm going to do the same thing. I didn't want to put paper all the way across on that salvage wood board because I really like the knot to show. All right, so getting that down, print side down on the wood, and let it dry. Now I'm using a sponge and water. Some people just say just a little bit of water. I soak this thing when I do it. You can use the sponge here. You can use your fingers. But as you're using your fingers, try not to rub too hard. Sometimes it's okay, but if you do, sometimes a little bit of the design will come off. Okay, so kind of be aware of that. But you can see I'm just soaking it and rubbing it. And here I'll pull it up in just a minute. You can start to see a little bit of the design coming through already. Love the little pine cone there you can see. Now it's going to look dark because the wood we're using is dark, right? But on the star, you're going to see that the design turns out to be brighter because the color of the wood on the star, on that pine wood, is brighter, right? It's lighter. So it's going to be darker on darker wood, lighter on lighter wood. And see how it looks? It looks melted into the wood versus just sitting on top. Okay? Now, when you rub it, you're rubbing the paper layer off. And so if it dries, I'm going to use my heat tool here, that paper layer will get milky. See, I don't like that. And when I very first did this method years ago, I'm like, how can I keep that not milky? So I wet it down again, like you saw me with the spray bottle. I'm wetting that design down. I want it wet. And then I'm going to come in with Mod Podge. I like to use matte because I don't like glossy. I don't like it to look glossy. And I'm just doing a thin coat over the top with that area wet, like I said before. Now, when this dries, it's going to about 90% eliminate that milky paper layer over the top. Okay, I'm going to do this process on all 3 boards. I'll finish the rest off camera. Now, I do have a little paint stick here, jumping ahead. I've stained it with Waverly wax mixed with water. I've got a little quote here. the link to my blog description box with this quote on it. You cut tree farm, and we'll set that aside and we'll come back to our pieces. All right, so here's the star. You can see what it looks like. And I intentionally went off the edge. You can see there were a little bit of the design is off there. I intentionally rubbed that off. But see how that Mod Podge gives it a wet look? You don't see that kind of paper layer. This one a little bit, but it's okay. It lends to the rusticness of it. Otherwise, you're going to sit and rub that paper layer forever, like hours, and then it's going to dry and it's still going to be there. I don't know why. It seems you can never get that off. But a little bit wet, Mod Podge over the wet, it helps eliminate about 90%, like I said. Now I'm coming in with my wood glue, and I've got it marked on the back of my wood pieces where I want them to go, right down the center onto that board. I do, because I remember off camera, I'm like, oh, I didn't glue the bottom board, the edges. Here, I do it here. You see it on this last one. Off camera, I went and did the other ones, because they're all going to be touching, so I want to add wood glue there on the very side edge of the boards as well, of course, plus down the main board that I'm gluing onto. And then my husband will help me like clamp it all together off camera and let it sit for half an hour. Here's my star. I've painted the back because a little bit of it's going to show, and then I'm just going to glue it to that top wood piece here. Just like that. I kind of want it hanging off, but I want the back to look finished. And I forgot to show you, we added it to a wood slice just like we did the other ones. This is probably about an 8.5 inch diameter wood slice, and it has the screws on the back just like the other two trees. Okay, now I'm coming in and just a little bit of greenery. I almost didn't because the project is so woodsy and rustic, but it needed just a little something. I wanted a little bit of green at the bottom to go in with, like, it's a green tree, right? So just a little bit, and I chose greenery that it's barely got any glitter on it. Add a couple of long pine cones. You can get those at Hobby Lobby. A little wood slice here so that I can tuck in a bell and have the bell kind of lay on the wood slice and kind of bring in the theme of the wood slice like we're using as the base here. And then I've got a ripped piece of fabric here. I tied it into a bow and glued it on up above those pine cones. And I'm going to add in one more big rustic bell. I got these bells at Joann's last year, I believe. Hobby Lobby has them too. And then my tails are really long again. I rather have them extra long so I can wrinkle and crinkle the way I want. And then I'll just kind of do a rip here, make a slit and rip off the excess fabric so it stays in with how I ripped the strip of fabric to begin with to make the bow. Okay, that's it for this so far. Let's go back to work. At the top, our project's not quite done yet. Remember, we made our little sign. So I want to add some hardware in. This is some stuff I got, I think, at Hobby Lobby's scrapbook section. It has a little top and a little hook, only I'm not going to use the little hook. I'm just going to put this on the center of the star. I want a little bit of hardware. And I'm going to glue my sign down. I was going to glue it on the pole while it's white in the middle, and I've got a little latch here. I decided I'm going to glue it up onto the tree. I'm going to glue the latch to the left end, right up underneath, and add some glue onto the board. Add some glue onto the latch where it touches the board. And then I'm going to add in some nails. I don't need nails. They're just tiny little rusty nails to make it look like we nailed our sign in. It's just decorative. And then I'm adding some nails into that little hinge. Another little nail here on the sign, make it look decorative like I said. And then I'm coming in just a little bit, black paint mixed with water, to add a little bit of splatters just here and there, so it gives it a little more texture. Again, third time is it? Might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I hope you enjoyed the process. I love it. That makes this project complete. So I hope you enjoyed all these trees today. I really had fun doing a video that was just all these different tree decor designs that we could make. I am planning to do another one when we get like full into the Christmas crafting season, not just Christmas in July. So leave me a comment down below and let me know if you're looking forward to another video full of nothing but tree decor, and let me know which tree was your favorite. I'm really curious to see how many of you are like, number 3, nope, I'm out. Please give this video a thumbs up, and if you walked in here for the first time, you're just checking things out, you're digging what you saw, you were able to accept my humor, before you click off, please click that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on another video from me. Before I go, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. Through the very beginning, as God commanded the earth to be and created man in his image, he has wanted a relationship with you. You only need to ask. He is with you in good times and bad, in and through everything, as long as you desire his presence. His promises are always true. He has promised to never leave you nor forsake you, or he would not have said it. He has promised to care for you, or he would not have said it. Your heart will always be held by his. He will always hear what you say and will always know what you need. He will always give you hope, and he always wants you to have a future. He will always walk hand in hand with you, picking you up if you fail. You are important to him, so very important. Important enough that he wanted a way to bring you face to face with his Father, so you would have life everlasting. You are important enough that he had one human life, and he gave it for you. His body was broken for you so that you would have healing. His blood was spilled for you so that you would have forgiveness. He has given you life, and he has given you breath. Whatever is before you at this very moment, he gives you his grace, his mercy, and he leaves you his peace. Let your heart and mind receive and hear what he says to you this day. From before time began, he has been here, and to the very end of the age, he will be here. He is here for you. He will always be here for you. He loves you with an everlasting love. You are not alone, and you never will be. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.